four people have joined, they can't. I know, but don't do it.
Anand. అన్ని పెన్సిల్స్ అని రెడీ పెట్టిన
Good afternoon, Father.
You click on this.
Turn on. Hello. Hello, Bhaskar. Bhaskar,
Yes, Pradeep, father.
am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Am I seen?
No, it will be they will be connecting. I will let you know.
Fine, fine. Just I want to check my mic whether it's working or
Yeah,
not.
it's clear. Your mic is clear.
Good. Okay.
వీడియోకి రావాలంటే తొందరగా వీడియో అందరూ వీడియో బంద్ చేసుకుంటున్నాను. వీడియో కావాలంటే ఇది ఉంది కదా దాన్ని
హలో వెల్లాడి అన్న. హలో
చూస్తుందా?
వెలాంగిరి అన్న, బాగున్నావా? గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ వెలాంగిరి అన్న. హలో
హలో
హలో వెలాంగిరి అన్న.
గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్.
బాగున్నావా?
బాగున్నా ప్రదీప్.
ఓకే, గుడ్ గుడ్. జస్ట్ నౌ. ఏంటా నాయిస్ డిస్టర్బెన్స్? వాట్ ఇస్ ద డిస్టర్బెన్స్? డిస్టర్బెన్స్ ఏంటంటున్నా?
Pradeep, mute yourself, Pradeep.
యా సారీ.
Anybody starting the meeting? Will they start?
Good afternoon, Father.
Good afternoon, Asa.
Good afternoon, Sarita.
Good afternoon, Father.
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 Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Father.
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 Good afternoon, Father. चलो गज बना क्या करें?
Good afternoon, Father.
Good afternoon, Father.
Dear teachers, I request all of you to mute yourself.
Good afternoon, Father.
Good afternoon, Father.
Yes, good afternoon, dear teachers. I request all of you to mute yourself. We will start the program now.
Good afternoon, Father.
I request all the teachers to mute yourself.
Mute.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Mute చేయాలంట.
I request all the teachers to mute yourself. So good afternoon, dear fathers and teachers and all from all the educationists of Andhra, Telangana, other states. And today we are going to have a meeting webinar on national education policy, and we have keynote speakers, Father Joseph Manipadan, and then we have Shrenik. These two are going to speak to us. Before we start this meeting, I would like to invite Reverend Father Pradeep to start the day, this webinar, with a prayer.
Hello, mic check. Father Bhaskar, am I audible?
It's clear, Pradeep.
God, our Father and Mother, we thank you for this wonderful communion of the educators of the province of Hyderabad on this great occasion of the orientation on National Education Policy 2020. And lead all our educational institutions, especially our Don Bosco schools of the province, situated in the tri-states of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha, in the wake of this pandemic COVID-19. At this juncture, we cannot but thank you for the gift of students, teachers, and parents who always make a remarkable difference and impact in the process of learning by doing and learning by experience in imparting education. As we begin this important venture of webinar on National Education Policy 2020, may you pour out your bounteous blessings to guide and lead the team of organizers, eminent speakers, and the participants with good technical network, active participation to assimilate and understand the policies, challenges, implications, expectations, and implementations of National Education Policy 2020. As we submit ourselves to you totally, continue to inspire us so that we may together build and create an intelligent society wherein the students may enjoy their rights to the maximum. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Let's all together say the prayer. Our Father, what in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to the temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Thank you,
Father Pradeep, for the beautiful prayer, invoking God's blessings on each one of us. Now I would like to introduce to you the keynote speaker, Reverend Father Joseph Manipadan, the coordinator for DPY Educational and Cultural Dimension, the Salesian Provincial Conference of South Asia, and director of Don Bosco House, SPCI at New Delhi. Father worked as a rector and principal for 25 years in different schools at Calcutta from 1982 to 2013. He worked at Don Bosco Bandel, Don Bosco Siliguri, Don Bosco Liluva, Don Bosco Park Circus, and again at Don Bosco Siliguri. He was a core team member and national secretary for Education and Culture, Catholic Bishops Conference of India, the New Delhi, recently, and from 2012 to 2020. He was a former donor convener for ICSE examinations at Calcutta. Again, former convener for ICSE and ISC examinations, Aura. And former inspector for Indian School Certificate, Class 12 examinations at Calcutta, Haldia, and Barakpur. Inspector of schools seeking affiliation to the ICSE and ISC. Examination board appointed by the Council for Indian School Examinations at New Delhi. Eastern India coordinator for Teen of the Year competition. District Commissioner, Bharat Scouts and Guides, Siliguri. Association and state level medal of merit awardee for the Governor, West Bengal. Other activities involved. He was a staff trainer, guidance counselor for youth, trainer in value education, stress management for staff, students, corporate houses, conducts youth camps, scouts camps, and orientation programs. He also organizes Cine Forum courses for the young, initiates peace education programs for the students, NGOs, conducts alternative education programs on emotional maturity, education to social justice, and value education for youth. Conducts training programs on emotional intelligence and communication for corporate managers and leaders of communities. He also involved in social service programs and literary programs. He involved himself promoting youth movements, YCS, LTS, and YSM and JY. Organized regional scouts camps, Jubori in 2002 and 2004. Organized the National Don Bosco Scout Camp, Boscori at DBL in 1994. Also organized International Conference of Don Bosco Past Peoples in Calcutta in the year 1998. Organized diocesan, regional, national, international conferences. We are happy to have the experienced educationalist, Reverend Father Joseph Manipadan, to speak to us about newly drafted National Education Policy 2020. Let us pay undivided attention to the speaker. And any doubts will be clarified after the presentation. Kindly note down your doubts and questions. Over to you, Father.
Okay. Thank you, Father Bhaskar, for that introduction. I'm happy to be with you all this today, with all the fathers and some sisters are also there. I saw all teachers, staff members of the various Don Bosco schools from 3 states, Andhra, Telangana, and Odisha. It's a very unique opportunity that I'm getting to present this program to you. Am I audible? Can somebody give me a feedback?
Yes, Father.
Okay, fine.
Perfect.
Yes,
Thank
Father.
you.
Father.
Thank you.
Yes, Father.
Okay.
Now, let me first mute all the teachers. All of you kindly mute.
So our program will have 2 sections. One is on the national education policy itself, which we will do within 1 hour. And the second part will be about the a very proper, very comprehensive learning management system into which we have to get into as the schools reopen, the new education starts, new education. The education that we have been going through in schools may not be the same again in the future. So we have to be well prepared for that. So first of all, we'll talk about the national education policy. I will go through quite fast with that because we have been talking about national education policy through 4 drafts. TSR Subramanian draft, and then there was the draft brought out by Srimati Irani, and then the draft brought out by Kasturi Rangan, and finally the 4th draft brought out by the Education Ministry of the present time. So it is something that has been talked about for years. So the final version will just run through it so that you get an idea. Teachers also must know what is the content of this new education policy because it affects them in a very big way. And then because of the new education policy as well as the pandemic situation that we are in, about which we still do not know when is going to be the end or whether it will end at all, or whether it will be a new situation that we have to live with it. The country is learning to live with that. And what has been affected maximum in this process is the education system in the country, education all over the world. So the education that we have been going through so far may not be anymore the education that we will be doing, the procedures that we will be doing after the school reopens. So we need to be prepared with a very proper, comprehensive, complete LMS system, about which the second speaker, Mr. Shrenik, will talk about that. Taking up the education policy, there are many things. I would call this education policy as opportunities with apprehensions. A new education policy with lots of opportunities, but also some apprehensions. The chairman of this draft, the present draft, is Dr. Kasturi Rangan. He was basically a chairman of the Space Research Organization. So basically, he's a scientist. And then he had a team of 10 people who drafted this policy for the MHRD, for the Ministry of Education. And now it has been officially adopted by them, by the Education Ministry, and then brought out a 60+ page education policy. It talks about quality education, quality institutions, quality curriculum, quality pedagogy, quality teachers, quality teaching. Conceptual understanding is what is emphasized in this policy. That means understanding the basic concepts that are contained in each lesson. Critical thinking, creativity, continuous review and assessment, universal access, quality, inclusion, bringing back out-of-school children, attaining the sustainable development goals, focusing on foundational literacy and numeracy, acquiring 21st century skills, effective governance, gender inclusion, and the 5 pillars are access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. So all these are absolutely great opportunities, great positive aspects of this education policy. But then there are some apprehensions, like, are these things that are mentioned in this education policy, is it achievable? Some 3 lakh schools have no toilets, 1.5 lakh schools have no drinking water. There are good many schools with no basic infrastructure. There are schools with no teachers or schools with single teachers, which run into thousands. The concept of a school complex and twinning of schools that is contained in this education policy, will it clash with minority rights? National Education Policy 2020, is it a national exit policy? Some people have criticized it as a national exit policy because they are removing any type of reservation. Scholarships are removed according to caste-based scholarships, minority-based scholarships are removed. It will be only on segregation starts at early age, graduation with multiple exits, and admission to higher education through a single window admission NTA, National Testing Agency. And then people have also criticized this policy as anti-minority policy, anti-SC, ST, anti-OBC. It promotes only the rich and the high caste, highly commercialized and centralized policy. These are the basic criticism about this policy. They are basically apprehensions. We do not have any proof that it will be like that, but we have to take it with a pinch of salt. So that is the draft that was drafted by Dr. Kasturi Rangan, who is the man behind this education policy and adopted by the government of India and passed in the cabinet already. The key principles of this education policy is respect for diversity and local context, equity and inclusion, community participation, use of technology. It emphasizes on conceptual understanding. Unique capabilities of children will be recognized and promoted. Critical thinking and creativity will be promoted. And then the review system, assessment system is going to be totally of a different type, continuous review system, and the board examinations, which will be semester-wise. It speaks about the outcomes of this education policy is expected to be universalization of education. That means at least up to elementary education, all must be in the school. Every child should be in the school. Equity and inclusion is talked about. Out of school children, which are about 2 crores, the government wants to bring them back to school. Attaining the SDG goals, foundational literacy and numeracy is very much stressed in the ECC, early childhood care and education. 21st century skills are emphasized. It speaks of school complexes in order to network and share resources, effective governance, separation of powers, and the common norms. Overcoming language barrier. 3 languages are stressed in this 3-language policy, which was there earlier, also continues. Common standards. There will be common standards for private and government schools. Public always refers to government schools. So there's a disparity of public schools and government school, private schools now, which the government wants to bridge that gap. So this is a policy that talks about achievable and equitable inclusive education policy of 2000. By 2030, they want to achieve that. There will be special education zones in disadvantaged regions. That means tribal areas and remote areas, rural areas, and areas where minorities and SC, ST people are majority. They will be called special education zones. Scholarship for students will be for students of these disadvantaged groups will be given. Underrepresented groups, that's how the policy calls it. Gender inclusion is there. There are a lot of facilities for education of the girl child. Availability and capacity development of teachers. Teachers training is going to be totally overhauled and reviewed and of a different type of 4 years. And the government will use multiple pathways, will promote anyone who wants to come into education. They will be encouraged to come in. Learning outcome will be stressed more than just rote learning. Bringing back dropouts, that means, as I mentioned, 2 crores of children are out of school even today, so they must be brought back to school. Alternative centers of education will be established, and peer tutoring. This is something new. That means student-to-student teaching. Peer tutoring will also be introduced. For that, the government has made a lot of provisions like foundational skills, national mission, book promotion, early learning. There will be 3 months of preliminary course before class 1. National repository will be there. That is online, Diksha. Library, both digital and other, will be there. This is the new system that is there. The 10+2+3 system will be replaced by 5+3+3+4 system. Before we are used to 10+2, that is from age of 6 to age of 16 will be class 10, then +2 system, and then graduation. Now it will be replaced by 5 years of early childhood care and education, which itself has got 2 parts. The first 3 years will be Anganwadis or child education, and the next 2 years will be class 1 and 2. That is a basic 5. It will be called foundational course. And then the 3 years of proper preparatory or primary proper will be class 3, 4, 5. And middle school will be, of course, 6, 7, 8. And then after that, 4 years of 9, 10, 11, 12, which will be semester system. And all the examination also will be semester system. At the end of class 12, there will be a board examination. Now, a lot of stress is there. What is going to be taught in the early child education, early child care and education, that's called ECC of 5 years. They will focus on almost the syllabus they are giving in this slide. Colors and shapes, alphabets and numbers, relationship with nature, arts and crafts, music, drawing, painting, etc. Logical thinking and problem solving, developing curiosity, teamwork and collaboration, play-based, discovery-based education, ethics, and also etiquette will be stressed there. Self-identification and self-identity and identification of things, etiquette, behavioral changes, emotional development, etc. So these are the things that will be covered in this early formative years. So this new education policy is changing from the traditional 10+2 to 10+2 system to 5+3 plus 3+4 system. Actually, it is nothing new. In our private schools, we already have this age of 3+. They join we call it nursery and KG and also that's inclusive. But it will be a big change for government schools because government schools were always starting from age 6+ with class 1. Now that they will have to make another 3 more years of schooling before that. So infrastructure will have to be built. Teachers have to be found, all that. Multiple streaming will be there. Flexibility of choosing. There will be no strict streaming. Even in class 9, 10, 11, 12, they can choose any subject. No specific art stream, science stream, or commerce stream. Board examinations will be made much more simpler, easier. Only core concepts will be examined in the examinations, not the rest of it. Then multilingual, 3-language policy, multilingual, that is there, and it is the policy says that at least up to class 5, if possible up to class 8, instruction should be in the vernacular language or mother tongue. Bagless days will be there. That means days of camping and outdoor activities and exposure programs. Those will be bagless days, 10 bagless days, not festival days alone as we are having now. For colleges, satellite college test, that means an NTA, National Talent Examination Authority, testing authority will be the only testing for higher education except 2 things, law and medicine. Medicine has got NEET, law will have CLAT. 4-year bachelor's course. So bachelor's course, graduation will be of 4 years. There will also be graduation of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and 4 years. It depends on what type of graduation you want to take. We'll come to that. No affiliation over the next 15. There will be no more affiliated colleges. By the end of 15 years, there will be only autonomous and degree-giving colleges with multiple streams and massive numbers. Minimum 3,000 students must be there. Fee will be restricted. There will be a capping on the fees that will be charged in private institutions. Going global, that means educational institutions of excellence, international institutions will be brought in for those who would like to join those international standard of education. So this new education policy, I'm repeating again, universalization of education, early elementary education up to class 8, or every child should be in school. National Mission for Foundation Literacy is formed for that purpose. The new system, 5+3+3+4 system. Curriculum to integrate 21st century skills. No rigid separation between art, science, and commerce or anything like that. Education of the gifted children. Talented children will be searched and identified, and they will be promoted. They will be specially cared for. Gender inclusion through Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyapith will be upgraded up to class 12. The curriculum of the board examinations will be reduced to core concepts only. Core concepts only, main ideas, main concepts, not the explanations or illustrations or descriptions. There will be more or less you have to follow the 80-20 criteria. Every lesson asks only 20% that is consisting of the core concepts. The 80% are explanations or illustrations or more elaborations on the same thing. So only the core concepts will be coming for examination. Vocational education will be introduced from class 6 onwards. So major reforms are these. Stress on early child care. Board examinations will be of low stake, only core concepts. Media of instruction should be in the mother tongue, at least up to class 5. Regional education and mother tongue will be emphasized. 360 progress card will be of a very comprehensive nature, consisting of all types of abilities of students will be taken into sporting ability, emotional maturity, ability to leadership qualities, ability to do things by himself, responsible quality of responsibility, etc. All quality, not only academics. Tracking student progress for achieving learning outcomes will be what is. There will be a national assessment and assessment for schools as well. Like in the college level, we have got NAC accreditation. There will also be an accreditation for schools. And the assessment will be based on PARAC. We'll come to that. NTA, National Testing Agency for entrance into all higher education except law and medicine. National professional standards for schools will be there. Continuous professional enhancing the quality of teachers on an ongoing basis. Every year there will be programs to enhance the quality of teachers. Book promotion policy, digital libraries, online self-disclosure of assets and teacher strength and student strength and fee structure, etc. will be there to make the institutions transparent. Language policy has been discussed right from the first draft of TSR Subramanian onwards. There it was a controversial one. He said that South Indian states should take Hindi and North Indian states should take Sanskrit and all. That has been set aside now after the first draft, after objection from a lot of South Indian states, they have been put aside. And now they have come to a simple language policy. 3 languages will be introduced. And what is going to be the first language, second language, third language, that will be decided by the states and union territories. So that has been existing all the time actually. Classical languages, including Sanskrit or foreign languages, will be introduced on an optional basis from class 6. Now, assessments. There will be various steps of assessment. There will be one assessment after completion of class 2, another assessment after completion of class 5, and the third assessment after completion of class 8, and for classes 9, 10, 11, 12, it will be semester system. Whether the semester system will be from the examination board or not, we do not know. But there will be one board examination after class 12. Before that, it will be semester system in 9 and 10, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there's nothing called junior college, it will be called secondary stage. Then the other examination in class 3 and class 5 and class 8, that will be, that earlier it was called census assessment. Whether it will be internal assessment or not, or whether it will be done by visiting examiner, all that will be done when the curriculum framework takes place, which has begun now. The curriculum framework work has already started. It is the curriculum framework that makes the education policy implementable. The implementing systems will be declared and that will be completed by 2022. So this education policy speaks of 100% enrollment in school, 50% general enrollment ratio in the higher education, which is right now 26%. Emphasis on mother tongue is there. Activity-based learning, introduction of subjects between class 3 and 5. Coding and internship will start from class 6. Also vocational education will start from class 6. Multiple disciplinary college studies, flexible choice of subjects from class 9 onwards. So the innovative, this education policy talks of innovative pedagogy, transforming teaching learning process through experiential learning, integrated pedagogy, promotion of peer tutoring, equal weightage, no hard separation between streams. There is nothing called extracurricular or co-curricular activities. Everything will be curricular. So academic together with curricular and extracurricular activities. Bagless days, at least 10 days will be bagless days. No school bags to be brought, but they will be in the form of some camps or outdoor learning, alternative education. Use of integration of technology will be very much stressed. Now, whether these things are possible or not, ideals are very good. The goals are very excellent, but whether it's possible to do it in our country or not, we do not know. School complexes is a new concept that has come in this education policy like never before. Places like Bal Bhavans and Samajik Chetna Kendras, places unutilized so far, especially government spaces, will be put to use for alternative education, for remedial classes, learning after class hours, etc. Now the school complex, that means the schools existing in a particular region, locality, will be clubbed together as a school complex. So there will be a school with school management committee. There will be also a school complex with school complex management committee. It is to enhance efficiency and governance and to network together for better integration and for planning and pairing of schools, twinning of schools, one government school with one private schools is contemplated. Now, this is an area whether this will violate minority rights or not, because if we are forced to join one particular school complex, it enters into violation of the administration right given in Article 30 of the Constitutions. So how that is going to be done without violating the minority rules, when the curriculum framework is made, they will have to ensure that. We have responded to the government about that. The new assessment system is called PARAK. PARAK means setting up of a National Center for Performance Assessment, Review, Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. That's the full form for PARAK. Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Education, Holistic Development. That is called PARAK. So for that they have set up, PARAK is intended for setting up standards and guidelines. State Achievement Survey and National Achievement Survey, NAS and SAS, will do this assessment. Monitoring of achievement of learning outcomes will be will be mainly measured in this assessment. It talks about shift towards competency-based assessment and 21st century skills. Teacher education is going to be of 4 years. So far, right now, the teacher education is of 2 years, I think. But then, these 4 years, that means if anyone wants to be a teacher, he or she will have to decide after class 12 and they start an education that is B.Ed, that is of 4 years with bachelor's degree. So bachelor's degree and B.Ed will go side by side, not 3 years bachelor's degree and 1 year B.Ed as it is now, but 4 years bachelor's degree and 4 years B.Ed will be required for those who would like to go to. The original concept comes from the earlier T.S.R. Subramanian draft, which spoke of education is also a public service. So just like public servants are prepared through IAS examination, similar type of examination must be there. Training should be there for teachers. So this integrated 4 years course, that is how the origin of that is. Now, for those who have done B.Ed, the 2-year B.Ed will also continue for another 10 years till 2030. But after 2030, only 4-year integrated B.Ed course will be there with graduation. So those who have done B.Ed or BA already, BA or any bachelor's degree already, they can still do the 2 years B.Ed course for 10 more years, till 2030. Now there will also be other B.Ed courses like 1 year B.Ed course, even shorter 6 months B.Ed course for those teachers who will be who have completed postgraduate degrees, or for those who would like to take up educating special children, educating children with disability. For them, there will be 1 year course and even shorter courses to take care of those kind of children. So training, and this teachers training will be done no more in B.Ed colleges. It will have to be done in multidisciplinary institutions. That means multidisciplinary colleges. Colleges where there are arts and science and all kinds of higher education, B.Ed also will be there. So no more. Which means any single stream colleges will have to shut down. There will be no more arts college or commerce college or B.Ed college, but it will be all arts, science, B.Ed, everything together, multidisciplinary colleges. And there will be no strict streaming of arts and science and commerce, etc. You can choose any subject across the line. Somebody wants to do political science and physics and mathematics, fine, they can do that. So streaming is put away with. So shorter courses will be basically less than 1 year, or 1 year courses will be basically for teachers who are wanting to teach children with disability. Timelines for implementation. So this is the only policy that has come out with a timeline of implementation. What targets are put. Like for instance, curriculum framework, which is actually the means of implementing this education policy, must be completed by 2022. That's the first timeline, first goal. Then next 2023, by that time, guiding set of national professional standard for teachers. That means the training programs for teachers prepared for transforming into the assessment system has to be changed by 2030. So preparation onboard course, that means continuous formation program education program for teachers, and the new assessment system must be ready by 2023, next timeline. Then the next, after that, by 2026, attaining universal means 100% children to be in elementary schools will have to be achieved by 2025, 2026. Then union governments resource through groups or rationalized schools such as school complexes should be ready by 2026. So formation of school complexes must be completed by 2026. At least 50% of learners exposed to vocational education. So the vocational educations must start off by 2026. So 2026 has got 2-3 goals to be achieved. Then by 2030, you already mentioned the new B.Ed course will have to start and the old B.Ed course will end by 2030. Universal provision for 100% children in schools will have to achieve by 2030. Only educationally sound, multidisciplinary and integrated colleges will be allowed after 2030. That means no more single stream colleges. All B.Ed colleges will finish. All single stream arts college or science colleges will become, all are to become multidisciplinary colleges with the massive number of students of minimum 3,000 will be achieved by 2030. So these are the goals for 2030. And by 2040, this education policy will be fully operational, absolutely operational. It's a long time. Now, these are the criticisms of this policy. How to reach? Is it possible to do all this? Very high target. Early segregation. Segregating children by vocational education being introduced in class 6. Is it a segregation of children? Is it based on rich and high caste and others will be segregated? So which means there's a suspicion that is this vocationalization education being introduced in class 6? Is it a way of telling the children from the lower caste or from the rural areas, you try and learn some trade, what your parents were doing, and then like plumbing or carpentry or whatever, and remain in your own place. Don't come for higher education to university. Is that the message? This policy is highly centralized, commercialized, and communal. That's another apprehension that is there. Is it a realistic policy? Some criticize this policy as unrealistic, impractical, unspecific. Language issue has been a Tower of Babel revisited. There has been a flip-flop in the policy making regarding languages, and now it has come to what it was before earlier, 3 language of your choice. It will be the states that will decide what language will be first language, second language, third language. It seems to be unconstitutional because everything is done by the center. Actually, education is falling into a concurrent list. The state has got maximum. Before education was totally a state subject until the time of emergency in 1976. When it was turned into a concurrent list. That means the center also will have a say in education. But now it looks like the only center has got the state and the states only have to implement. So that they're calling it undemocratic because the federal nature of the constitution is not respected. So concentration of funds in the elite institutions will be very costly. Educational productions and textbooks may be go into industrial houses. Public funds to produce skilled managerial, research-oriented and technical corporates for international monopolies or international monopolies. Curriculum will be upgraded to cater to standards of the elite and private institutes. So is it fee structure will be revised? Poorer students and will have no, so the all reservations and scholarships are being removed, and age-old inequities of caste system is being upheld or made permanent. Unaffordable hike in fees will be there for higher education. These are all fears. Class divisions and caste divisions disparities will increase. These are all the apprehensions regarding this policy. Does this policy have a intent of is it formulated by the RSS or fundamentalistic groups? Because it is suspicious that it talks too much about emphasis on cultural citizenship, regional language, India-based education, Indian knowledge, curriculum, etc. So there's a suspicion of that type also from some section of the people. Another suspicion is this policy just to sway the public from the real issues that are plaguing the country? The economy is shattered. The country is fighting COVID in a very big way, and there is no end in sight. Why this policy is brought out at this time? Is it a national education policy or is it a national exclusion policy? Because there are 6 ways the children can exit So what happens, the critics of this policy are saying that what is happening with this policy is that you don't have to fail any child anymore because you are not allowed to fail anybody. But the children will go out of education by themselves. Why? First, no reservation for minorities or SC/ST or other backward classes. Scholarships will be only on merit. No scholarship because you are SC/ST or belong to a lower caste, nothing like that. So these are reasons why the child may exit the school education. Then exit by early segregation from class 6 onwards, vocational education. There will be tests in class 3, 5, 8, 10, 12. So many assessment coming along, which each point of assessment may become an exit point. Exit by early segregation by introducing vocational education class 6. Exit through staggered graduation. That means 1 year. Graduation will be multiple exit, multiple entry graduation. You can also have 1 year graduation and go out for job, then come back after some time and continue with the graduation. Now what happens is that at this time, if somebody has done a 1 year graduation or a 2 year graduation and goes out, he may not come back because he's got a good job. Why should he come back? So that way they may exit. Exit through NEET, like one single window examination, NTA. How transparent it will be, we do not know. So these are, people see this also as exit points. So what will happen with this new education policy, that you don't have to fail anybody, the students will leave by themselves. So is it a fairy tale policy when students are, how do you retain schools? How do you bring children to school? Because there are children live in villages, distant villages are there. Transport system is not there. What is the provision given for girl children? How do you enable teachers when rural teachers have got not even the basic skills? Where is the budget coming from? 6% is the budget promised, but the present spending is only 2%. How do you bridge the rich and poor divide, rural and urban divide, the digital divide in this country? 10 lakhs of teacher vacancies are there at the moment in government schools. 3 lakhs of Anganwadis or early education institutions have no toilets. 1.5 lakh of Anganwadis without drinking water. Many of the girl children don't go to school because there are no toilets. Then how are you going to reach this 50% of general enrollment ratio in higher education? How do you bridge the digital divide? There's a huge divide, the digital divide between rural areas and cities. Child marriage and child labor is still keeping 2 crores of children away from schools. So these are basic problems in education, which is asked the government to address any of this in this education policy. Complete policy has been drawn up by the center and the implementation is all left to the states. So why were the states not involved in the policy making as well? Some statistics speak different language. 2.38 crores of enrollment fell in the last 6 years in public schools. Public schools means government schools. That means 2.38 crores of children left government schools in the last 6 year period. At the same time, 6 years time, 2.11 crores of children enrolled in private schools, which clearly shows that the government schools have got a problem. Either teaching is not taking place, or there is no incentive for teaching, or the teacher accountability has to be pulled up. So if the teacher accountability in government schools is not established, this new education policy will be a non-starter. It will never take off. Because the problem is not with the private schools, the problem is with the government schools. So these are some of the schools problems that are not addressed in this policy. Apprehension is that, is there a subtle design of stressing too much on the ideologies of the RSS or things like that? That apprehension also is there. Now, some of these apprehensions we put before the people who made this policy. From the Catholic Church, we met the team, the full team of 10 members who made this policy, headed by Dr. Kasturarangan. So Dr. Kasturarangan is called the father of the new education policy. And this Dr. Shakila Shamsu, she is known as the mother of this education policy because she has been working as the officer on special duty for national education policy from 2016 onwards. So she has seen the first draft drawn up by Dr. T.S.R. Subramanian and his team of 6 members. She has seen the first official government draft brought out by Srimati Smriti Irani. She has seen the Dr. Kasturirangan draft of 166 pages. And then she has now brought out this final draft of this new education policy under the education ministry. And so she has seen right through. That's why she's called the mother of the education policy. So we have approached her also with these apprehensions. And then we also approached two others, Dr. Sridhar, who is one of the drafting committee members, and also Major Harsh Kumar, who is the National Secretary for the NCRT. So we put forward some of these apprehensions from minority communities and from the SCSTs and other rural communities and tribal communities. We have put forward these apprehensions to them, and this is how they have to reply. They gave us this reply. We asked her first, is it a fairy tale policy? Is it achievable at all? And her answer was, ultimately, each policy or bill depends on the political will to make it happen. So this policy also will become a reality only if there's a political will, if the state governments and the central governments and the bureaucrats and all stakeholders cooperate. The next question we asked was that reservations are not there anymore, which was given by the constitutions to CSTs and minorities. Minority rights may be trampled upon through school complexes and college clusters. Federal system seems to be violated with absolutely centralized education policy. What is your answer? She says, every policy works under the constitutional provisions. Yes. So this will definitely be subject to the constitutional provisions. Nothing of the constitution will be violated. That was her answer. Then we said this policy seems to highly commercialize and privatize education, and education will become much more costly. Now, to that, her answer was, we are making education both affordable and viable. So, in order to make it affordable, we need to have income coming in from foreign universities and institutions of higher education of excellence, 100 or 200 of them that will be established. And there definitely the cost will be very high. Now because that extra income has to offset the making affordable education in rural areas, in tribal areas, in underrepresented groups, and in the special education zones. All tribal areas, all rural areas, all areas where minorities and SCBCs are clustered will be declared as special education zones. So in order to give them scholarships and make education affordable for them, to give them meals, to give them transport, to give them hostel facilities, we have to collect higher fees from the institutions of excellence and from foreign universities. So in this policy, we are trying to bridge the balance, create a balance between making education both affordable and viable. Then we asked her, will school complex or twinning of schools or higher education institution clusters affect the minority rights? Because if you tell us, okay, you belong to this cluster, then you are violating the administrative provision that the Constitution of India gives, Article 30 gives to the minorities. So how do you do that? Then the answer was that it is only meant to share resources, both human resources and material resources, so that education becomes affordable. It is not meant to violate any minority rights. And talking about early child, why stress on languages and early child, she said that maximum capacity for learning languages when the children are very small. So before the age of 8, we are trying to emphasize on languages. And there is no debating the fact that the concept is learned best in the mother tongue rather than in the English medium languages. Then we asked her, will the English medium schools continue? Does it mean that there will be no more English medium schools? And the answer was that it will continue. It will continue. Then another question we put here was, if the single stream educational institutions cannot become multidisciplinary and in big numbers of 3,000, like for instance, in northeastern states, they can never have a college with 3,000 students. It's not possible. What will happen? So in 10 years' time, all have to become multidisciplinary colleges with 3,000 students. If that does not happen, what happens? Then she said, the only way out may be to request the government to allow you to continue belonging to a college cluster. So you can become part of an existing multidisciplinary college and continue if the government allows. The medium of education should be in mother tongue. So it will depend. So our question to him was that, will the English medium schools continue? Then his answer was that it will depend on the choice by parents and the students. If the parents and the students want English medium education, it can continue. So what is the medium of instruction? It will continue. And will the school complex compromise minority rights? He said school complex is applicable only to public schools. This is exactly the words he used. School complex is applicable only to public schools. Public schools means government schools. So at the implementation level in the states, most of the implementation is going to take place at the state level. We will have to negotiate with the state governments that it does not enter into violation of minority rights. At the same time, minority institutions can belong to a school complex of their choice. You can make a school complex of all Catholic schools. You can make a school complex of all the government school, all the Don Bosco schools of an area, or of schools belonging to a particular trust. That can be suggested to the government. What about English medium schools? Then this was answered by Dr. Sridhar, member of the drafting committee. He said the wording in the policy is wherever possible, the medium of education up to class 5, if possible up to class 8, should be the local language or home language or mother tongue. It will depend on the states and the parents and the students. Wherever possible is the loophole, is the escape route that is kept in that statement. Wherever possible. Regarding apprehensions about NEP, he said, is there any other agenda behind this education policy? Is there any is it drawn up by the RSS, or is it with some ideological stress that this has been drawn up? We asked this question straight to him when he was a keynote speaker in Jodhinivas College in Bangalore. And his answer was this, very interesting. With my hand on the chest, I can assure you that while drafting the NEP, National Education Policy, our interest was only education, not any other motive. We bureaucrats function that way. This was his answer. About higher education, what's the time? Already 3. Okay, I'll just go through very short because higher education, we need not go through all the slides because I see that most of you are from school background. The main points in higher education is that there will be no more streaming. It is called liberal arts type of education. That means you can choose any subject across the streams. No commerce stream, no science stream, no. And it will be done in multidisciplinary colleges with many subjects, multiple subjects, and minimum number of students should be 3,000. There will be 3 types of colleges: research universities and colleges, teaching universities and colleges giving the 4-year B.Ed course, and degree colleges which will be multidisciplinary and which will be in big numbers, 3,000 at least in number, and autonomous. There will be no more degree giving colleges, only affiliating colleges, only affiliation is no more there. All will have to become autonomous colleges in 10 years time and multidisciplinary. Single stream colleges will have to close. B.Ed will be 4 years course, but there will be also shorter courses of 2-year B.Ed course for 10 years for those who have already done B.Ed. And those who graduation will be a multiple exit, multiple entry graduation. So you can do a graduation of 1 year. It will be called Bachelor of Liberal Arts, BLA. Maybe it's not more BA, BSc or B.Ed. What name they will give, I really don't know. Maybe it will be called BLA, Bachelor of Liberal Arts. So if you do a 1-year graduation, you get a certificate. If you do a 2-year graduation, you get a diploma. If you do a 3-year graduation, you get a graduation. And the 4-year graduation will be required for those who want to do B.Ed also, and those who want to do higher education. That means research and things like that. So these are the master's degree will be 1 year or 2 years like before. So these are the changes in higher education that is coming up. There will be multiple public professional standard setting bodies, all UGC, AICT, NT, MCI, Medical Council of India. They were all monitoring the higher education, but now they will all become national professional standard setting bodies. Only inspection they will do and recommendations, but the entire power will be under NERA, National Higher Education Regulation Commission. So these are the So what we have to get ready is actually now connecting with the next speaker who will be talking about the blended learning. So the national education policy is that, and I also put before you the apprehensions that we had, and some of these apprehensions we made known to the government, and the government responded in the past 4 or 5 years. We have met different drafting committee members. Dr. Kasturang and I myself have met with the team with the bishop. I have also met Smriti Irani. I have also met Dr. T.S.R. Subramaniam. And we have been dialoguing with the education policy, giving them what are the views of the Catholic Church regarding this. And they have more or less diluted things from 2016 to 2020. There has been change. But of course, some of the main points are kept, and we do not know how the implementation is. And still we have scope of negotiating with the government at the state level, because the national curriculum framework and the implementation of education policy will be done at the state level. So we will have to make, for instance, special education zones, all tribal areas, all the states of Northeast, the tribal population, the SCBC population of the central India, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana has got a lot of SCBC population. They must all be declared as special education zones, and so you will receive scholarship, you will receive reservation. So that's an area where the church leadership must work towards that. Get your area declared as special education zone. Then you can also have your minorities come under this group, underrepresented group it's called. All SCBC, OBC minorities, they're all considered as underrepresented groups. And underrepresented groups have got scholarship. Underrepresented groups have got reservation. So you'll have to fight for that at your state level. Then these things will continue, because this is your constitutional right. So we have done all that. And now I have also put before you not only the apprehensions, but also the answers given by those who made the draft. Dr. Kasturanga himself, Shakila Shamsu, who actually drafted the whole thing from 2016 to 2020, and she knows the policy inside out, and she knows what's the intent of every sentence of that policy. We have negotiated with her. We have also talked to the secretary of the NCRT, they are drawing up the national curriculum framework. And this is what they had to say by way of our apprehensions, in answer to our apprehensions. And so now you have to work at the state level to see that these apprehensions are answered and our minority rights are respected, and the implementation takes place without violating anybody's rights, and with equal rights to the minorities as well as to the underrepresented groups, and try and get your place declared as a special education zone so that you can get this reservation and scholarships. So with that, I will wind up the education policy, national education policy part of it. And now what we are preparing for all the Don Bosco schools, we are giving programs area by area, province by province. Now here I have got the schools, teachers from Andhra, Telangana and Odisha. See, when the schools reopen, when will it open, how it will open, we do not know. Because will the parents send the children? Because they will not be so free to send them, because they will be scared whether the children will be affected by corona. Now, even if corona is gone, even if a vaccine is found out and the vaccine is there, education system is not going to be the same. Now, during these past 6-7 months, you have managed to give what's called online education. You have managed to reach, I'm sure all of you schools, all of your teachers have managed to give online education, reaching it to the children's homes, and you have also managed to do some kind of testing. Now, that does not make proper online education. That alone is not enough. What we have to move into is blended learning. A blended learning on a platform that is totally learning management system, that is totally comprehensive, with lessons, lesson plans, response sheets. It will also have to have kind of a clarification of doubts, interaction with the students, and then also it will have to have assessments, response sheets, and then even going to the extent of giving grades and report cards, which could also be machine based. So this is the type of blended learning or LMS that we are thinking of for the education of tomorrow. Things are going to change much faster than we thought, and so our next speaker will talk about what is the type of education that you have to give tomorrow as the schools reopen, as we come back to live a new normal in education. the area that has been maximum hit by this COVID-19 is education. So from my part, I have finished. I want to thank all of you for listening to me. Before we go into the next speaker, if you have any doubts to ask, you can ask.
Now I invite teachers, if you have any doubts, kindly can ask Father.
Father Bhaskar, can I intervene?
Yeah, please. Yeah, welcome.
Very good afternoon, Father. I am Father Chinnappa from Don Bosco Banlaguda School.
Okay.
I'm sure I wish all our teachers also. Father Joseph Manipadam, it was very nice listening to you. You have presented the entire NEP, not to, more than from what it is, but your own perspective from the side of the church, our own concerns, all that you have expressed to us. Maybe I am listening to you for the second time or third time, so I am able to. I don't know how far our teachers have grasped it, but I feel that no alternative, but every teacher needs to take a copy of NEP, read and try to understand that. So thank you, Father Joseph Manipadam, for your wonderful comprehensive presentation. I just would like to ask you, Father, what would be some of the immediate precautions or changes that we as schools in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana and Orissa, even in India also, what would be some of the changes we need to make in order to align ourselves to the present NEP that you have presented? Some of the things that immediately we require to.
First thing is you have to ensure that your minority rights are not violated. For that, you can already form your own school clusters and approach the district administration, district education officers. We would like to make a school cluster with these institutions. I'm sure they will allow that, because that is your right. Then secondly, you must try and identify areas where minorities and as well as the SCBC scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people live, and get those places declared as special education zones where underrepresented groups are living, so they get the minority rights as well as they get the scholarships, which is a need that you have to do. We have to negotiate with the government, state government. Then give suggestions to ensure that the national curriculum framework does not violate any of these minority rights, because that is what makes the education policy. The path for lines of action for implementing the education policy is the national curriculum framework, which is being made now, which will be completed by 2022. So there is time. And 1 week was given to all the heads of schools and teachers to respond, but I'm sure very few responded. Although the national curriculum framework people, NCRT secretary says they received 15 lakh responses, 15 lakh, which is a big number. So that's one thing. Then secondly, get your teachers ready for the new normal. The education that is going to be totally different when the schools reopen. So the older type of classroom education may not come back 100% as it is. There will be staggered classroom teaching, but then more of online teaching, more of blended learning has to come in. Our next session is exactly on that. Yeah. We are now studying very different type of LMS that has been developed by different people. So we want to introduce you also into that. Teachers can get an idea of what is going to be the teaching for tomorrow. So these are the ways in which we can get ready for the near future.
Father, do you think that most of our schools in our province are only up to 10th standard? Then we have the junior colleges. Do you think that our schools which are up to 10th standard, do we need to upgrade ourselves immediately to senior secondary? What do you think about it?
See, according to this new education policy, there is nothing called senior secondary or nothing called junior college.
Yeah.
It's only secondary school, and that has to go up to class 12. So all your class 10 schools will have to upgrade to class 12.
Okay.
That will be asked.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Father.
Okay, I think we will go on to the next speaker so that he doesn't.
Yes, Father,
yes,
a small doubt, Father.
Yes, tell me.
For example, if any school, when we are trying to align ourselves for new education policy, that is upgrading ourselves up to this 12th class, and getting faculty is difficult means what is the role of the school complexes in, coordinating among the schools?
See, National Curriculum Framework, when the team had already asked us 102 themes to be answered. And one of the question was, what are your suggestions about implementing the concept of school complex in the new education policy? So what we suggested from our point of view is that, first of all, the schools belonging to a particular region, government schools belonging to a particular region can automatically be clubbed into one particular complex for sharing of resources and networking. But the minority schools should be allowed to club themselves into school complex according to their founder body's decision. That means Catholic schools or a particular schools belonging to a particular trust, etc. Now, school complex is not a new concept because already a CBSE board has got school hub already existing.
Yeah.
So it is basically to network, to plan together, to work together, to share resources. Suppose you are a teacher who is very good for teaching classical language, classical dance.
Yeah.
So each school does not have to employ a teacher for classical dance. You can share that teacher between five or six. So it has got its advantages. But what I would suggest is that let the schools get together and make your own complexes already, so that your minority rights are not violated. If the government forcefully says, okay, you belong to this complex, then it is entering into your administration. So you anticipate this problem, make your own complexes. That will be a good thing, and then approach the government. Okay, we would like to make a school complex as minority schools of this particular region, or this diocese, or this province. That you can do.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to.
So we thank you, Father, for the detailed presentation of national education policy, and we thank you wholeheartedly. And we shall go to next speaker. Just like to take a privilege to introduce to you Mr. Shranik Bura, the second speaker, who is going to speak about blended learning. He's an education solution consultant, open source technologist, visionary entrepreneur, and lean process practitioner at Kolkata. He engaged in bringing about the biggest positive social change possible by simplifying education technology for the masses. To fulfill this objective, he is actively looking out for partners with self-driven, highly motivated, perspective change makers. For the past, have amassed valuable experience and business acumen in over a decade, is an entrepreneur catering to some challenging market segments, the global SMB and SME. Have successfully delivered several projects spanning over a wide range of technical and functional domains, as well as business vertical spanning automobile dealerships, toys sellers, educational tools, health and fitness, and bearing distributors. He always aspired to demystify software for the masses by the application of open source technologies to various organizational needs, with a key focus on end user experience. Possess a knack to evaluate and judge the applicability and suitability of latest trends and advancements in software technology, as well as the ability to observe the foresee futuristic business models related to technological trends. So, sir, we're extremely happy to have you as a keynote speaker. So welcome, welcome, sir. So over to you, Mr. Shranik. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, fathers, sisters, principals, and teachers. I'm very elated, happy, and honored to address such an august gathering today, and especially those that comprise of a teaching fraternity, of the teaching fraternity. So in no means I may be an expert in this topic that I'm going to speak, but I'll take you through our journey over the last 6-7 months, ever since the pandemic has started, and how we have evolved with a solution to serve the needs of our schools. So, herein, okay. So as you may see, over the last 6-7 months, prior to that, we were actually serving schools with a computer lab solution that was named My School Server. For the last 4-5 years, we've been doing that, basically simplifying adoption of technology in schools. But first location in the school that we had chosen was a computer lab. Ever since the pandemic started, obviously that approach had to come to a pause, and we went back to our drawing board and we tried to understand what is the future of education going to look like and what is the immediate need of our schools. And we evolved with a solution which we call MSS at Home, that you may be able to see on your screens now. And the key focus of this was equitable and inclusive quality education. We should be able to provide that. That's always been the cornerstone of all our research activities. To take you through that, I'll break my presentation into 3 sections. First, one of the key sections is blended learning, that explains the various concepts involved in blended learning, a few key terms related to blended learning. Then there's a software tool, Colibri, and its significance and role with respect to blended learning. And then AcoBox, a hardware tool that explains how adoption of blended learning is practically possible. So I'll take you through all the 3 of them. To start with, now, as I said, we had to design for the new normal, and we had to design to empower our teachers and our schools. We had to design for the future, not for just the duration of the pandemic. So there are a few key things we identified. One, children will be studying from home and teachers will be teaching remotely. Even if there's proximity, if they come to school, it's going to be in a staggered fashion, maybe 30%, 50% of children visiting schools. Then one key tool, the pedagogical method, is going to be blended learning. We'll have to focus on that. And then focus has to be on learning outcomes. This has always been the key, learning outcomes, but now it becomes very important. And NEP 2020 also emphasizes on this. A few core concepts I would like to introduce. Blended learning and flipped classroom. I'll first name them and then I'll go through a bit in detail for each one of them. Then you have differentiation and personalization, self-paced learning, formative assessment, and stakeholder buy-in. Now, these are certain key concepts that we kept in mind as our design principles or guidelines. Now, what is blended learning and flipped classroom? Explained in a very simple way by the Christensen Institute. They are pioneers in these methods. They define and help practice. Many institutions across the globe follow their definitions. So the definition is that learning for a student should happen at least in part through online learning, with some element of student control over their place, pace, path, and time of learning, and at least in some supervised brick and mortar setup. And yet the modalities of both these learning paths, they should intersect and form a holistic and an integrated learning experience. This is very key to blended learning. It can happen in different contexts, in different scenarios, but they should also make a holistic meaning to the end learner. And blended learning has many models in which it can be implemented. But I will focus just on the flipped classroom model. Why? Flipped classroom is what is relevant in our current context. in the pandemic situation. There's no other model that's possible practically now. So I won't go into details of any of those. And flipped classroom model emphasizes wherein a majority of the self accumulation of data, content, learning content, interaction with that content is done at their own pace and most probably in the home environment where the student can has control over many factors and can do it at their own pace. And the school or the brick and mortar setup is more for group interactions, for assessment, for specific targeted interventions by a teacher. So the homework and classwork, you can see that slightly flipped, and the learning outcomes are concentrated and worked upon in the school environment. Now, the second term was differentiation and personalization. In differentiation, we must recognize that all learners are coming to a lesson at different starting points. They do not all have the same level of understanding and they all learn differently. And hence, personalization of learning is important, means the learning paths, the way they are interacting with the topics, then the way they have to meet certain academic goals, the curriculum and content, all should be customizable for each one of them. To make this possible for our teachers and our education system, there are certain tools which are invaluable and they are a must-have. Let's see what they are. One of them being progress reports. Now, progress reports should show how learners are progressing through the content. Then they help to understand which learner is ready for advanced content and which learner needs additional support in the current unit. Then after reviewing the progress reports, it should be possible for the teachers, whom we also refer to as coaches out here, to group learners of different progress into maybe a class or a subgroup. It should be possible to do that and move them through across groups also easily. Now, each group may have some differentiating factors. I'll explain that. Now, exams, the role of exams out here need not be the high stakes summative exams. It should be possible to address the needs of different learners in a class by assessing, assigning an exam to a particular smaller group, or evaluate the baseline level of the entire class for a unit or a term by assigning an exam to the entire class. It should be possible both ways. And this should be digitally possible. Now, finally, we look at lessons. It should be possible that a teacher should be able to dynamically select a few resources and assign lessons to a class or to a particular subgroup and differentiate their learning paths and even move the units of the lesson in a different sequence as per the needs of each learner or a group of learners. It should be possible to do all this. Then only blended learning is possible. And a tool should support all this. Now, defining self-paced learning. Learners can progress through content at their desired pace and their desired rate. And they should have the ability to control very minute aspects of the learning pathway. To explain, they should have ownership over the interaction with the content. Means they should be able to start, stop, jump backwards and forwards as you are accustomed to in a YouTube video, and even change the speed of videos. So the content, you are controlling the pace at great granularity. That should be possible. Then system should show pick up from last session. So system should show any in progress content in some kind of section wherein the child, whenever they start a new session, they are able to pick up from their last session. They don't have to go around finding in the system. This is very crucial, means learning continuity from session to session. And whenever they reach a particular milestone or the end of a unit, the system should prompt them towards the next natural step. So they should not be looking for the help of a teacher immediately. The system should take this role. Formative assessments. Now, these are low stake checks, not very high stake. NEP also emphasizes on this, NEP 2020. we need to have a lot of low-stake checks for understanding of learning that is being carried out during the interaction with the content. And a lot of data should be available for the teacher so that they can intelligently tweak the learning path for the child that may suit the child. Now, what is the purpose? There are few tools, needed for conducting continuous formative assessments. One are in-platform exercises. Now, in-platform exercises means into the digital system itself, there are exercises. While going through the content, the child also interacts with the exercises. The exercises could be interspersed. Now, with the correct answers already stored in the system, the learner could receive instant feedback while attempting the exercises, and they'll have to retry the questions and get them right until they move on. And exercises can be, as I said, already interspersed within the lesson items. Next is in-platform exams. So exercises over a lot of units of content, they could be clubbed together to form a low-stake exam in which their understanding of multiple topics or over a range of topics can be assessed easily. And it can be done dynamically. Like if a child is moving through a learning path, they can, somebody is advanced ahead. So they can be in an advanced group, a green group maybe, and they can attempt an exam at an early stage. And a similar exam can be served to another one who's in amber group at a later stage when they advance through it. And it should be possible to dynamically serve such exams to all of them. Now, prompt and off-platform activity. Not all such formative assessments need to be inside the digital platform. They could be outside also. Means some kind of discussion that a teacher wants to initiate amongst a group of students. So the digital platform could reflect a particular slide or an image showing that, okay, now you have to engage into this kind of discussion activity and you're going to be monitored over that maybe. So, but this has to be deliberately inserted into the digital learning process as well. Student self-assessment. Now, certain teachers could also ask, or the coaches, teachers could ask their children to record a short video about the understanding of a particular topic or a short audio, and depending on the different age groups, they could be served an MCQ, just a quiz. In the midst of some session, they could come through one quiz, or they could be given certain subjective answers or a more open kind of question could also be served. So student self-assessment, wherein once they start preparing such an answer, whether it's audio, video, or something that they are writing, they get to assess themselves. This is very crucial, stakeholder buy-in for blended learning to be successful. Now, we need to establish buy-in for the program at the level of school administrators. They need to determine the priorities and goal for using such a system. They need to ensure personnel across the board and the stakeholders are all actually on the same page. It's very crucial for stakeholder buy-in because it's a big transformational change. This needs to be identified deliberately. Then content curators, they have a major role. A system for digital learning will require digital content. So content is a major challenge. Quality content that learners are going to consume in a new way is going to be a major challenge. But a good news is that across the globe, a lot of great content is available in the form of open educational resources. So I'll explain and show you a preview of that also slightly later. So content curators should be able to assess whether a lot of content that is already available, can that be reused, and can that be mapped to our local needs, to the curricular framework needs? If not, can our teachers create some content? Can that be used? Whether they've created content, like in the last 6-7 months, a lot of our teachers have created some great content. Some are in YouTube, some have been transmitted through WhatsApp. Can that be also reused? So content curators will have to actually go through all of this and make sense of it. A nice IT team will be required. So though the solution may be complex or simple, in any case, They'll have to develop a good understanding of the underlying technology, the technical documentation. They will have to configure a lot of hardware, software, maybe on the cloud, and then ensure that the teachers, administrators, all are able to use such a system. The learners, they will have to use the system and make it a means of taking ownership of the entire learning process. This is very critical. They'll have to take ownership of the learning process, and they have to be motivated to do that. How? It may, large part may depend on the ease of use of a system also. And they'll have to develop their own digital literacy skills and support their own learning. And they may also engage in supporting other learners. Now, teachers and coaches, they will have to align the school vision along with their personal pedagogical practices. They'll have to create buy-in for learners of using a new system in their learning process. Then they'll have to use the tool to differentiate and personalize the learning. They'll have to collaborate with other teachers and coaches to share their best practices. And last but not the least, very important, this is where a lot of learning is going to happen back at home. Parents, guardians, the entire environment out there, they will have to encourage blended learning. They'll have to acknowledge the fact of technology integration into learning, and they'll have to support this process. This is very critical. They'll have to be educated. Maybe all schools will have to have a session for parents. I don't know whether they've already had sessions for parents. Maybe a lot of Zoom sessions have happened, Google Meet sessions have happened, but some sessions for parents are needed. Now, certain key challenges we had to address while going through this journey when we started. Like, we first thought, okay, online solution, it may work, but then we looked all around us, and internet reliability is a major issue. So, though it's needed, internet, but how much we can rely on it and how much a solution should rely on the effective delivery of the entire learning outcomes, we'll have to assess and work on that. Then a lot of our learners are going to be minors. A lot of our teachers are first-time technology users. They may not have used technology at such depths. So the hardware, whatever they are using, whether it be their phone, whether it be any PC, anything, it needs to be inherently secure and reliable. Then learning outcome visibility has to be taken care of throughout. That's one challenge we have to take care of, we thought. Then motivation. Since out here teachers and students are not going to come face to face for an extended period of time, so they have to be self-motivated. What will keep them motivated? Both of them, both the parties. And solution needs to be affordable. You cannot have a solution just in ether, in thin air, wherein it's not going to be affordable for anyone. So you can develop some great technological breakthrough, you can have that, but if it's not affordable, it's useless. Now I'll go back to, this is about blended learning and the challenge we have understood before assessing what solutions can be used. Taking you back to this, we evaluated around 7 to 8 learning management systems that are there in the wild for many years. For 15 plus years, we know of certain technologies that are there. I won't name any of them, but there are some great ones of them, but almost all of them have the need of the learner and the teacher being online throughout that session, being connected to the internet. So that became a bottleneck. So we zeroed upon Colibri. We are aware of this project for the last 6 years, but its effectiveness in the current scenario, it is defined as an offline open source solution for universal education. Offline means primarily offline. It works offline. It doesn't need internet for while the learner is learning and while the teacher is evaluating the learning. And open source, for those who are familiar with open source technology, it is something, in simple terms, it is something anybody can modify and contribute to. You can adapt it to your needs, provided you have some technical skills, obviously. Or you can even participate in such projects through documentation, through feedback, and they will listen to you and improve the software. And universal education means it's supposed to be inclusive and affordable for everybody, and yet in no way compromising on quality. That was a key requirement. So Colibri does that. Now, what is Colibri? If we define further, Colibri is, if we break it down into certain components, there are three key components. There's a studio, then there's a sync server, and there's an application. The studio and sync server, they are on the internet. And application works primarily offline on a teacher and student computer. I'll go into details. Now, content distribution and data aggregation. While these remain offline, online, how the process between them works, without going into technical details, I'll just touch upon this topic so that you make a coherent sense of everything. Then implementation guidance, how anybody can self-implement this or how third parties can help you implement this solution. Now, what is Studio? Studio is a cloud server. Basically, it's on the internet, and this one aggregates contents from multiple sources. It could be, the sources could be something you commonly know, YouTube or some website. I'll show you the details of that. And they are the content, they could be audio, video, PDFs. They are all organized into multiple channels. Now, what is a channel? A channel is a collection of content and metadata organized in a tree structure. So it's crucial to understand some of these key concepts because we are going to refer to them in the next few minutes. So they're not too many, they're just 5 or 6 of them, but it's important to understand them. And a channel could have content, audio content, video content, EPUB content, it's a document format. PDF, everybody is familiar with, I hope. And HTML5 content. HTML5 allows you to have interactive content wherein you can drag, drop, interact with the content. The student and teacher can do simulations using that. So a lot of content is now being developed on this technology and anybody can do it. And MCQ, exercises, multiple choice questions and exercises. So such content is organized in channels. And channels are of two types. One is public channel. Now, public channel mostly contains public content, publicly available content. Those who are familiar with Creative Commons license or open licenses will understand a lot of such content is available. For example, Khan Academy, though it is not under Creative Commons, it's under a special license, yet it's available freely and publicly. It's available as free YouTube channels. It's available on their own website. Then CK212, that is available. Wonderful content is also aligned to the CBSE curriculum. Like that, there are hundreds of such sources in multiple languages, many Indian languages and foreign languages. They are all available. And I would not be surprised if many of you teachers have harnessed all this content in the last few months to teach our students. Then there are unlisted channels. So unlisted channels are certain channels which a school or a teacher could curate for their own usage and consumption for the students. They could, or a subject expert could create such a channel. They are not available publicly, they can be kept private. And this is created by importing content from other channels or adding custom content, means uploading their own videos, audios, PDFs, any of these types, and more are going to be supported in the near future. So all these can be uploaded and then publishing this content. So you hit a publish button and then it is available for offline consumption. Okay. And this cycle can go on. They can again in the future add more content, add custom content if required and publish that content. Moving on. Before we move on, I'll show you a preview of the studio. This is how a studio looks. It's on the internet. I have an account already created. Anybody can create an account. It's by studio.learningequality.org. By the way, sorry, Colibri is the project by Learning Equality. You can explore this online. They are a wonderful organization and they are working on this project for last more than 8-10 years. They have done 2 projects. This is one. So I'm logging into this. Now, what you see out here is my unlisted channels. These are not publicly available. For example, you'll see this is for a school out here. This is for a particular demonstration that I'm showing you. This is done by a rural teacher in north of Gujarat.
Kindly unmute yourself, sir. Kindly unmute yourself. Shranik, sir, can you unmute yourself?
Master is speaking over the phone. He got phone call now.
It is muted. Kindly unmute.
Muted.
Yes.
By someone. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. To this. Yeah. So we have public channels out here. These are compiled from Khan Academy videos and Khan Academy sources through a special license. They have an arrangement with Learning Equality. And you have many channels like this. I can go through this. There are hundreds of them. Okay, in multiple languages, Indian as well as foreign languages, as well as English. So now I'll just walk you through how it looks internally, how a channel looks internally. I'm going to open this demo channel. So it's organized as a tree structure, grade 10, physics, light reflection, and then a subtopic, reflection of light. Inside that, there are videos and HTML5 interactives. I won't go into details of any of them. I'll just show you out here, there's some metadata, this is called metadata about it. So when I refer to metadata, this is information about the content, main content item. And one can add content by importing from other channels, public or other unlisted channels that are accessible to them. And they can also upload their own files, their own content. Anybody can do that. You don't need any special permissions. Okay. So that's it about the studio for now. Let's go back. And let's explore the next key term, that is the sync server. So there's a sync server. What it is, it's again another server on the internet. It's on the cloud. And this is the bridge between the school and the at-home user, the at-home teacher or the at-home student. It acts as the bridge. And who interacts with this? Mostly an IT admin. So both the studio with the assistance of an IT admin, some subject expert or teachers could interact with that. And it's very easy. It's not difficult. And the user interface is being worked upon. It will be simplified further. The IT admin works on the sync server. And what does they do? What do they do? They import school-specific channels from the studio. Whatever the school needs, they are imported and made available into the sync server, so that the focus remains on that much content and not be lost in an entire ocean of content. Then, they create and import users. So if a school has 200, 2,000, 3,000 students, so all of them can be imported or created manually in the system, and they create all the teachers in that system. Then they map them into classes. Simple 3 steps: import the content, create the users, map them into classes. To give you a preview of what it looks like, I'll just show you. This is our sync server. We are hosting this ourselves, like at colibri.myschoolserver.in. I'm going to sign in as an admin out here. So these are the channels. All these channels have been made available for certain users of our cloud and of our sync server. And you see study circle that was there out here also. We are using this for our MSS demo school. I'll now go and set up the school, or I'll show you a school that has already been set up. In the interest of time, this has been done earlier. MSS demo school. Now this school consists of around 30 users that have been created out here. Teachers, students, they have been all pre-created. And it's just created by a few simple clicks. New user, fill this form, or these can be mass imported through a sheet. So that's taken care of by somebody who's doing the admin role in the school, or if provided to a service provider, they can import it immediately. Then they are mapped into grades. I'll look into grade 10. Here 2 teachers have been mapped and around 5-6 learners have been mapped. They comprise this particular grade. This is a demo class. So that's it. This is a simple activity that's done in the sync server. Once set up, the next activity is they move on to the application. Let's move on to the application. This is where the meat of the action is happening. The major action is happening out here. The teachers and students need to install this on their devices. Whatever device they have, the options are, we have it installable on Linux, on Windows, Microsoft Windows, on Apple Mac OS X, and on Android phones. Android phones, there's a minimum requirement. As is for other systems, Windows, you should have Windows 7 licensed. Mac OS X, obviously it's licensed. Linux, it will work on any Linux. Android, it should be Android 6 with 2 GB of RAM and enough storage. So these technicalities, if avoided, it's mostly universal. Almost everybody can use it because most people either have these devices, or if they don't have, then we have some answer for that as well. And most children don't have, we identify that. So let's not hold any bias. I'll explain and address that as well. Now, what does a teacher do after installing? What all they can do in the application? They can plan. They can check reports, and they can self-train and do capacity building. How? For planning, they can create lessons, quizzes, and groups. The differentiation part that I spoke about in the blended learning section, they should be easily able to create groups. How they do this, I'll show you a short demo after introduction of all activities of the coach. Reports. Teachers should be able to look at reports from multiple perspectives. So if they start from a lesson or a quiz, then they should be able to drill down into a lesson, into each item, and see how children are performing on that. Multidimensional reports, how much time students have spent on it, a group of students have spent on it, what are the difficult questions they have stuck, the problem areas where each student is stuck, or where this should be highlighted easily. Teachers should be able to access such crucial information, and then only they'll be able to design custom learning paths for each student. So a system should be able to give such kind of information, and then such reports should be printable and exportable. Then groups and learners. The report can be viewed from the perspective of a group of students or individual learners, and group drill down should be possible. Individual learner progress should be viewable, and again these reports should be printable and exportable easily. To the extent of even designing full academic report card, that should be possible. Now, beyond this, we have to ensure that teachers also remain motivated all the time. And capacity building is the need of the hour. So through the same platform, teacher training material can also be served. So something that's already part of the subject matter, there are lesson plans that accompany subject matter. So those can be served, or professional development readings and other videos, content, a lot of that can be served. And we also have entire training material for this platform, Learning Equality, and we have developed it together and we have posted it onto this solution. So that's also served to the teachers. They can do their capacity building at their own pace. So this is what a coach's action looks like. Now, if I am supposed to show you, this is installed. It looks similar. The login screen looks similar from the sync server. This is an application installed on my system. Now I'm going to log in. Here I'm logging in into the demo school. I'm logging in as a teacher. This teacher, the interface is quite simple. Just a sign out profile, their own coach area, the teaching area, and some learning area for professional development of the teacher. Nothing else. Nothing else confusing. Keep it simple. And yes, since I forgot to mention, this is available in multiple languages, in many Indian languages also. So one can change a language and switch to that. Now I'll click on grade 10. This has been pre-configured with learners. So let's explore this. This is how a teacher dashboard looks. They see the tests that they have started and how students are progressing through that. then the activity. This may not be visible while children are learning from home, but let's keep that for later. And lessons, how students are progressing with lessons. This is a dashboard. Now, if I look at the plan section, the first area of action for a teacher, suppose these are pre-configured lessons. Let's take one lesson that's half configured. Teacher opens this lesson and there are resources that are already added to this. For example, if I click on this, teacher can preview what has been already added, play a video and see. So this kind of content with all transcripts, subtitles, some of them even have subtitles in multiple languages. So all of that is available. Now go back. I'm going to manage resources and manage resource and add some content. I'll go to this channel study circle, which has been pre-curated for this demo school. I open science, go to physics, then I go to magnetic effects. I could have even searched this content, but just to show you the tree structure and ease of navigation, suppose I go to this magnets and there are 4 contents out here. Magnetic fields due to straight wire carrying electric current. I choose to select all these 4 from this. Now, this content comes from Khan Academy, this comes from CK212, these 2 come from Khan Academy, but that's the responsibility of the subject matter expert who has already worked with the teachers. So it's just available out here to click and include. Let's go back and see. Okay, let's close. Yeah, see this. And this added. These are the 4 new contents added. Then custom paths, if you want to just drag and drop, and you can change the paths in which they are going to be served to the students. Then out here you can edit and you can choose whether it's going to be served to the entire class or an amber group who are slightly struggling with this topic, or to individual learners. You could choose that and choose any of these learners. So this is possible. And once the teacher toggles this, now it's visible to all the learners. Likewise, quizzes. Quizzes can be created with exercises that are already present. In that content, there were 2 exercises that we chose for magnetism. Now, these come from a certain question bank that is already available in the public domain, or you could create your own question bank also in the studio, and then it will be downloaded and available on your system. So this is the certain set of questions you see here. This has been configured, okay, and served to the entire class. I could create a new quiz. Let's create a new quiz. For example, mathematics test 2, and I choose to serve 10 questions. Maths and from triangles. Let's take, okay, problems. All the exercises that are part of this, yeah, these are part of this. There are 3 sets of questions, and then they are part of this. So if I plan to test my students on this and this, continue. And you see, you can serve them randomized or fixed order. And they're 10. If you decide, okay, I have to increase the numbers and not just 10, you could increase them. 15. And from the question bank, it will pick up now 15 questions. All different, all randomized, they'll be served to the students. I'll finish. Out here, yeah. That's it. So test 2. And once I start the quiz, this is going to be available to the students. So I've started it out here. Let's keep that in mind. And teachers can create a group easily in a similar way. Just create a group name and then add students to that. So it's added out here. Okay. Next, they go to the reports tab. In reports, a teacher will be able to drill down Now let's see physics, electricity. A teacher sees, okay, 4 or 5 have started. They can go into this. Immediately they can see, okay, what's the progress? How many students have started? If they see from, this is topic wise, they can see from the learner's perspective, how many have started and who has started, who has not. They will know that. Report out here, they can see, drill down on this, on a topic and see details. So multi-dimensional report, as I said. Then they can even focus on, they see a red mark out here. So somebody needs help. This is alarming. Means somebody has attempted certain number of exercises and they are not succeeding. So a teacher is highlighted to this fact. This is very important. Now, needs help. Which are the difficult questions? They can drill down from the student perspective or from the questions perspective, difficult questions. So 7 is struggling with this. Likewise, they can go back. A learner 7 is struggling with this. And what are the attempts that they have made? First attempt, second attempt. All the attempt details are shown up out. And finally, they've got it right. So, but it's more of a trial and error. A teacher will know. By looking at this, a teacher will know. And then they can design a custom session intervention for this child who's struggling with a particular topic. Okay. Going back on reports, similarly, you have drill down reports for quizzes, for groups of learners, and for individual learners. Now, let's go down to learner 7 out here. And let's see, this student has attempted, okay, 1 exam, 1 test out here, and certain lessons in the last term. All of it is showing out here. So, such a report can also be printed. You'll see a comprehensive report like this will be available. So if they've gone through many more, the entire aggregate average percentage is going to be shown out here over multiple attempts. So this is available right from assigning lessons to generating a report. That's possible. That is it. That's what a coach needs to take care of once they have a system up and running. We've tried to keep it very, very simple. Going back to this. Now we have next what a learner does while interacting with the tool. They have to interact with the classroom content, in-classroom content that has been assigned by the teachers. Then there's a reference library. Beyond just that content, there's a huge reference library, and yet offline. We can make that available offline. So a child interacts with digital content, but securely. Then there has to be certain recommended content each time they interact with the system. For example, the next steps and all, I'll go into details of that. And then some gamification to keep them motivated. So classroom content is lessons, quizzes, exams that the teacher has prepared. They should be able to see that, easily interact with that effortlessly. Then a huge library of content beyond just the classroom topics to explore further. And that should be easily searchable. Then where they have to resume the recommended content, where they have to resume from session to session, the learning continuity needs to be ensured. The next steps in learning should be visible to them once they've completed a logical step in learning, a unit in learning, then the next step should be prompted by the system itself. And most popular content, so what all other students, their friends, their peers are interacting with, that kind of content can be highlighted as well. That's an additional feature. And gamification. So as they interact with more and more content, they gain certain number of points. In the future, there'll be badges also. So they remain motivated to do more and achieve more. Now I'll walk you through how it looks for a learner. Let's imagine the same system. It's a similar interface, same interface rather, for the learner as well. Let me log in as learner 7. This is what they see. Simple interface, just the Learn tab, nothing else they can do. Just their profile, maybe they can change their, if allowed, they can change their names and all. Otherwise, their password, that's it, nothing else. Beyond this, they just interact with the Learn tab. In the Learn tab, they see their class, they enter that, they see whatever quizzes have been made active for them. This is a quiz they've completed in the past. You can review that, what questions he's got right, wrong. You can see that, always accessible to them. Instantly, the moment they've taken the test, it's self-evaluated. Test 2, this is a newly assigned one. So a student can interact with this. They have to start as soon as they see this. So I'll do that later after I show you the entire walkthrough. These are the lessons. So physics, maths, chemistry lessons have been assigned. A student clicks on that and they go in the sequence. So this is something in progress. He had started but not completed. So it shows a clock icon. You start from the moment they left, from the part they've left earlier. Okay, sorry. At the bottom, once they complete this, let's assume we've completed this. So even if they do this fast tracking, a teacher will know actually. It'll show they've spent only 1 minute on a 6-minute, 45-minute, 6.45 minute video. Okay, so that granular information is available for the teacher. Then next in lesson, this is prompted and the student can start from here. Next in lesson, they can go through this. Then next in lesson, there's an exercise. A student will interact with this exercise. A question will come like this. So this will reinforce their understanding over the previous few questions. Okay, lucky. That was a fluke. Okay, so let me hit another one and let's see. An answer above. You'll see the effect of this. Direction of I. Yeah. Okay, so a student will have to do multiple attempts before they get it right. Either they can skip it, but they cannot complete it. They can skip it to the next, and the teacher will know this as well, that they are struggling with that. They have not understood. So the logical thing that the student is supposed to do is go back to the previous video and then attempt that exercise again until they get it right. That is what they need to do. We've not enforced that in the system because it could be a student is struggling beyond the video. So that is where a teacher's role is paramount. They need to step in to design a custom intervention for that child. So it has enough flexibility. The system has enough flexibility for that. So this is what they will go through. The challenge, this is the library of content that is being made available to the student. They can go through all this content. They can search through this content, for example, if they want to search about heart and know more about the functioning of a heart. They could search and they will get a lot of these videos all related to heart. Functioning of a heart, okay, so maybe it's not available in this particular library as yet. It shows games around this. These are from Arvind Gupta, Toys from Trash. Then there is recommended content, which shows the most popular and resume these videos that they have not yet completed. It shows that. So these sections. So this is how it looks for the learner. Now going back, it's as simple as this. They don't interact with anything more complicated. And okay, the points part, sorry. Out here, as they interact more and more with content, points are earned as they complete. So at least learner 7 has not completed anything. They've just started something and not completed. So you see it's 0. Now, since I mentioned Studio and Sync server is online and application is mostly offline, how does everything get transmitted? So with 10 to 15 minutes of internet connection after the first setup, if you're installing the app on your own desktop or phone, the first setup will require substantial internet connection for maybe, depending on your connection speed, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, 1 hour. But after that, every other session could just be of 10 to 15 minutes per day, depending on a schedule agreed upon with your teachers or the school. Like the content distribution, every day, if a teacher is designing a new lesson or some new intervention, or making some changes at their end in the application, they need to connect for 10 to 15 minutes a day. And for example, in the morning, if the teacher connects early morning, 8 a.m., and for 10-15 minutes, and ask the students to thereafter connect after maybe 9 a.m. every day, then within 10 to 15 minutes, all students, whatever progress they have done in the previous day, will be synced up to the sync server, and from there to the teacher's system. And the new lessons that the teacher has published, which have been synced to the sync server, will come down to the student system. They need not do it at the same time in a day. They can do it at any time as per their flexibility and availability of internet. Internet is cheap in many ways, but yet not reliable, not accessible to all. We understand that. And this solution, and rather you're not alone, many are not alone. It's 85% of the learners globally fall into that bracket and maybe more. So this solution is for that. And data aggregation is the entire progress being transmitted from the student device to the teacher's device, just by connecting 10 to 15 minutes per day. So if you go in for the Android app or for the Linux-based application, then auto sync is supported. Auto sync, which is you just have to connect your device and it will auto sync. If you're going for Windows or for Apple devices, Apple solution, then as yet only manual sync is available on that. This is our enhancement on top of Colibri, the auto sync part. And peer-to-peer, okay. If there are scenarios where there is no internet available and children are able to come in some kind of proximity with the teachers, or they are coming to school in a staggered fashion, then also it is possible without the need of internet, from device to device, the progress will be synced. The system supports that. There are details of how to do it, just 2 or 3 additional clicks. And that interfaces, I won't go into the details of that in the interest of time. But those cases are also supported for peer-to-peer via local network. If the school has a Wi-Fi, or from phone to phone, from phone to laptop, it's possible. That is for lessons and for content syncing. Just for content, suppose the content for grade 10 is 2 GB of content. Slightly technical. If it is 4 GB for grade 12, which we've realized for CBSE it is. So if you're putting that together and you need to transmit that content and students and teachers don't have that kind of connectivity available, it is possible to transmit that content using a simple pen drive. You just plug it in and this system, Colibri itself, can import all of that content. And then thereafter connecting for 10-15 minutes, the lessons will also be synced. So that's possible. All that is supported. So all kinds of situations are supported in this kind of solution. Means we're not just talking of technological breakthrough, we are talking how it is accessible and affordable for everybody. We want to emphasize on that. Then I would like to emphasize on implementation guidance. Anybody can implement this on their own with some excellent documentation available for the studio. I'll show you this. Anybody can read this, understand this from a user-focused and a teacher-focused perspective. Yet if technical help is needed, that is possible.
Screen share is not there. Please share the screen.
Again. It's been paused, yes. Resume presentation.
No, all the time we were not able to see the screen.
Is it now visible?
Yes.
Visible.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
You are seeing the implementation guidance, right? I have 2 screens. Are you seeing the implementation guidance screen, the one with the mind map? Could anybody please confirm?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Excellent documentation is available for the studio. Anybody can go through it, self-implement it, it's possible. Then you have excellent documentation for the sync server and the application also. Thanks for that. So this documentation is also publicly available. You can download, install, and use the application. Then we have video tutorials for all of this. I'll take you to that. That's also available in the public domain. How a teacher, how a learner, how an admin can use this system. They are given, and how blended learning can be implemented using these tutorials. All this is explained very nicely. There are videos and certain checklists, whether they have actually practiced all those things. Once you go through these short videos, it appears like a cakewalk. That's from practical experience. We've seen rural school teachers, public school teachers, they have achieved success through this. And for a fact, I'll tell you, which I did not mention earlier, Colibri is being used by many low-resource communities across 200 countries. So it's not something that I claim. The jury is out there on the internet. You can check it out. So it isn't something that you cannot achieve, our teachers cannot achieve, our schools cannot achieve. And if anybody needs a guided service, we are there to provide that as well. We are going to give you complete hand-holding throughout the entire process, from stakeholder and current program assessment, like helping each stakeholder in understanding how this can be implemented and what they have currently achieved in the pandemic. For example, last 6-7 months, those who created their content, how they can make it available offline into every student's system, how they can share it with other teachers, all that is going to be evaluated and guided. Then complete guidance for the studio usage, then cloud server setup, how technology, we can make technology appear very simple for all of you. We can do that, that's possible. Teacher training, that will be provided. Just beyond the videos, any kind of support is needed. And end user application deployment, automation for that, complete handholding for that. As a service, we can provide this also. And details of that are available on our website. That's myschoolserver.com at home. Just take you to this. So those who are interested may actually go through this. It's a short introduction of this solution itself. And at the bottom, they may sign up on this page, My School Server without the H. It is SCOOL. Please note, otherwise it will go to another solution website. So you may sign up out here and we'll get in touch with you. Finally, I'll take you to the ACO box. Now, software great, blended learning concept, good, we want to achieve it, that's the way forward. We recognize the fact that many don't have access to a reliable hardware system, a hardware solution. Children don't have access to their phones even now after the lockdown. The phones of parents, many don't have access to tablets or to laptops. Parents, they may have had a laptop at home that was of the parent who was working from home, maybe partially they had access to that. But for a fact, many don't have access to that. And in rural areas, the situation is even more grim. Given that, we had to think of something that will practically work for everybody. And we innovated with something called an ACO box. Now, what is an ACO box? Or we bifurcate it into three things. Those who already have devices need not go for new hardware. They can install the ACO app. That is Colibri encased in our automated deployment system. We provide that. So on the Android phone, any tablet or a laptop or a desktop, they can install. They just need to meet the system requirements, obviously. So once they do that, it can work on the existing system. That's the option one. And they just need to connect for 10 to 15 minutes to the internet using their broadband or phone-based internet from whatever device they already have. Next is, suppose they don't have a dedicated device on which they can install. Suppose they have an Android phone which is Android 5 or Android 6 not with enough RAM, or they have a laptop which is not licensed Windows, or a desktop which is old, but they have a browser which is working. So, or they have multiple learners in the house, multiple learners in multiple grades also. They can go in for one of our devices called the ACO Box LD, learner device, ACO Box LD, which once unboxed within 5 minutes, powered on, it will advertise an access point, a Wi-Fi access point that many of us are used to connecting to Wi-Fi. So it will just advertise such a Wi-Fi point, and you can connect your existing devices at home to such a access point and start learning immediately. Colibri can be opened, you can log in, you'll get the similar login screen, and you can start learning with the username password that you've got from your school. That is it. Just connect to it in for 10 to 15 minutes per day to the internet, depending based on the schedule pre-decided with your school. Then comes somebody, this same device, somebody wants a complete PC experience. This device is a fully loaded PC. It's a personal computer actually. And if you connect it with your TV, you have a keyboard mouse, then you will be able to, suppose you don't have a monitor, you just have a TV and you take an inexpensive keyboard mouse in addition to a device, you will be able to have a full PC experience on your computer, on your TV. If you want to go in for a full peripheral solution with monitor, keyboard, mouse, headset, for communicating or recording, all of that, so you get that also as a service from us. We are ready to provide that entire solution. Thereafter, there is a teacher device or a coach device. This has some more processing power. It's a more powerful unit. Why? Because teachers may need to create content, edit videos, edit audio, put them together. This may sound scary, but we've created this tool with all such software packaged in and with tutorials from the best in our country. IIT Bombay professors have actually designed those tutorials, and they are available through the Spoken Tutorial project, sponsored over last 10 years by the MHRD Government of India. So more than 10 years, I think so. And that content is available preloaded onto this device as well. So teachers can self-train and self-curate their own content. They can do that and then upload it into the studio. So device pre-configured for the teachers. Now this is a lot of icons you see out here. This is the sync server and many other services for the future of education. We are not only stopping at Colibri, the bird you see out here. There'll be many more things that will come. I won't go into details, but a school may need like online admissions, online report distribution, online document sharing, video, audio, video conferencing, group discussions. So there are other tools which will make it possible. And those who want to evolve, who can evolve in that curve, we have something for everything. We will keep on adding more and more services to it. And not mandatory for all. The green dots are the sync process for 10 to 15 minutes connection, or when they are in proximity in school and teachers and students can carry their devices to school, then they can all sync up. It's possible. They'll all sync with each other. Next, I've already shown you channels of all of these. So there are more being added on an almost weekly, monthly basis. We are adding more and more content to this. All these are going to be available for free to anybody. Even now they are available. No need to take any service from anyone. They are available for everyone to use. And educational software. Now this is where the learner device and the coach device excel in. We are facilitating digital literacy. So it's a specially pre-packaged solution which has more than 140 educational applications and more than 130 activities. Educational activities in terms of simulations and all are pre-packaged onto that device and served. So you buy any new computer from the market. You buy a Windows PC, Mac, Apple Mac, or you install Linux. What you get is certain accessories, certain utilities just for the OS. But then you don't know what exactly is going to be of great use to you. So these are all tested, tried, world-proven solutions. And these are also available in other languages. Though here, most of the current audience may be focused on English, but all these are available in multiple languages. The learner device, people can type, interact with the user interface, and many of these applications, they are also available in local regional languages. So nobody should be left out of the digital literacy curve. Now learner device approximately looks like that, or we have now evolved with this one, those who can, if you can see it, okay. And we are further evolving. So there are multiple versions of that we are coming up with. So that is the core bridge between the school and the learner and the teacher, and also go to knowledge bank while remaining offline. It need not connect to the internet continuously, and so parents can also monitor that. And facilitates digital literacy completely. It's pre-packaged with all the tools for that. and it works out of the box. So it's kind of focus. A learner will have complete focus while working on this system, won't have to look beyond in many cases. And for a fact, if you see these lids out here, what I've not shown, this also supports that one and also this. It supports future of education, robotics, STEM education, all is possible through the same system. It will support all of that as well. For example, the ATL project, all of that can also be supported through the same system. You don't need another hardware for this. So as the schools evolve through the curriculum, as our curriculum evolves, the same system can be helpful for that. For the technically inclined, it's based on a Raspberry Pi 4 kind of system and has 4 GB of RAM. It has an ARM processor. And it's a custom-built, secure and open source operating system. Now, this is what a teacher device will look like. A teacher will need additional hardware in terms of webcam and maybe a tablet to design their lessons. So it's a slightly more powerful system, which is i3 based with 8 GB of RAM. So that will suffice. More than that is not needed. This will suffice for any teacher, and with the educational OS that we have pre-packaged with all editing tools and all, it just works like a charm. So we've tried that practically in many scenarios, and we've baselined that. So now this has been the story. To summarize, over the last 6-7 months, we've been evolving through our own learning curve. We've evaluated a lot of software, then hardware, and innovated this hardware also. Now, I'd like to summarize it. We've come up with a primarily offline and a minimally online solution. That's the end goal. Comprehensive hardware and software platform. So whoever starts with this solution doesn't have to look anywhere. They get everything in this solution. Then it's completely outcome focused, learning outcome focused. You don't get deviated in the process. The entire solution design is for education. Means you have many other solutions, like you have a phone, which has been retrofitted for education. You have a set-top box through which maybe Tata Sky Learning is coming out. So many things at home have been retrofitted for education, but now this is a education appliance or an education solution completely. Nothing like this ever existed before. That's what we found out. Then it facilitates blended learning, the future of education, the way forward. It establishes accountability of all stakeholders with granular tracking, reports. It establishes accountability. It facilitates digital literacy, not only just in curricular learning, but confidence with technology, confidence with interacting with a system, and that too securely. That's possible. Digital literacy for all, for students and for teachers. And it's going to be highly affordable. So for a fact, we are planning our device. It's under final pilot stages. We are planning it will be priced in, many may be having this question, that's why I'm clarifying upfront, price less than 10,000 per device, and for per child per month, the subscription charges for the entire usage of the infrastructure could be less than 100 rupees or maybe even less than 50 rupees. We're coming to that per month per child. Now, while closing, thought, why Acco box and why Acco? We borrowed it from the Maori tribe of New Zealand. The concept of Acco, we found it very beautiful. It describes a teaching and learning relationship where the educator is also learning while teaching the student, and where educators' practices are informed by the latest research and are both deliberate and reflective, not just by coincidence. Okay? So thanks to the Maori tribe of New Zealand for giving us a small name. And to know more, you could visit our website, myschoolserver.com/@home. And AccoBox, anybody can also mail us for queries at accobox@resheshtech.com. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm open for any questions, if allowed.
So dear teachers, if you have any questions to Mr. Shranik, you're welcome. So I think all are very, very well versed now after listening to Mr. Shrenik. Thank you so much, sir. Now we have come to the end of this webinar, and I like to invite Mrs. Mary Sunanda to give vote of thanks. She's a coordinator from Don Bosco School, Sanatnagar. Welcome, madam.
Thank you, Father. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay. Respected Principal Father Gopu Peter and my dear co-teachers, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. We have witnessed a wonderful seminar on comprehensive learning management system. Changes and opportunities of post-COVID era, and this session was graced by the presence of our eminent educationist, provincial coordinator, Reverend Father Pasila Bhaskar, and I want to express my heartfelt thanks to Yeruva Pradeep for a beautiful prayer. Coming to the speaker, the first speaker, Reverend Father Joseph Manipadam, for gracing this seminar by upgrading us on NEP 2020 with his presence by giving a valuable insight of the session on comprehension on National Education Policy 2020 after the pandemic. New education expected outcomes, effective governance, key principles of NEP 2020, a fairy tale policy, etc. to name few, changes in higher education. It's a privilege to have you here in our midst. Thank you so much, sir. A special thanks goes to Reverend Father Joseph Manipadam, SDB, Coordinator, DBYA, Education and Cultural Dimension, South Asia, who has been the backbone of this Don Bosco institutions and always promoting great values. Thank you so much, Father. A warm thanks goes to our Principal, Reverend Father Gopu Peter, for being a visionary and showing commitment to bring out quality education for the kids. I thank the distinguished invitee present here, accepting our invitation and presenting such wonderful ideas and sharing this in this seminar. Definitely your ideas are going to have very fruitful results. This has been a fruitful and invigorating session. I thank the members for being a good participant and covering the session. I thank my friend who worked behind the scene to make the session go smoothly. Before signing off, thank you one and all the teachers for being part of this seminar, without whom the session would be incomplete. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you, madam, for a beautiful vote of thanks. And Father Joseph Manipadam was behind this today's session. I extremely extend my hearty congratulations and thanks to Father for hosting this a beautiful webinar for both three states, Andhra, Telangana, and Orissa, for all Don Bosco schools. Thank you so much, Father. So we shall give a silent applause.
Silent applause. Thank you, Bhaskar.
Yes, thank you. And also all the participants, and thank you so much. And Mr. Ashwanik for his beautiful presentation on blended learning. Father, like to say something?
Thank you, Bhaskar, for organizing this, and thank you, Shrenik, for the nice exposition of the blended learning and the future of education. And all the teachers for participating, all the fathers, sisters, teachers for participating. Hope to see you, and it's an eye-opener now. Now we have to work on it further and then see how we can adapt this into your own educational systems. Thank you once again, and see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Father.
Bye. Thank you, Shrenik.
Thank you. Thank you.
Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father, for conducting this review.
Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Okay.
Thank you, Father.
Now, by answer there, Digna.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Father.
Welcome.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.